Nobody puts themselves in the friend zone. You put yourself there. And before you close this video, I don't mean that as an insult. I mean it as the most liberating thing anyone has ever told you about this pattern. Because the moment you understand why you do it, the whole thing stops being a mystery and starts being something you can actually change. You are probably one of the most emotionally generous people in any room you walk into. You remember birthdays. You show up at 2 a.m. without making it a big deal. You listen, really listen. People feel safe around you. They feel like they can breathe. And somehow, consistently, that same person looks at you and says, "You mean so much to me. I just don't see you that way." You've heard that line more than once, maybe more times than you want to count. And the part that really stays with you, they didn't choose someone better. They chose someone who showed up less. Someone inconsistent, someone who confused them more than you ever did. Every single time you nodded, you said you understood, you stayed friends, and somewhere in the quiet, you asked yourself the question that never fully goes away. What is wrong with me? Here's the answer. And it's not what you've been told. Nothing is wrong with you, but something is happening inside you. Something old, something that started long before this person, long before the last person, long before any of them. This isn't about being too nice. This is about what you learned love looks like. Think about the environment you grew up in, not the big dramatic moments, the quiet, everyday ones. Was love in your house freely given? Or was it something you had to earn? Did things get warmer when you were helpful? When you were easy? When you didn't ask for too much? For a lot of people stuck in this pattern, childhood taught them one specific thing. Your value comes from what you give, not from who you are. You learned that being needed was safer than being wanted, that asking for something openly was dangerous, that the moment you stopped being easy and started being real, people might leave. So you built a version of yourself that never asks, that earns closeness instead of risking it, and it worked. People love being around you. They trust you completely. They just don't choose you. Psychologists call this the caretaker trap, where love becomes something you perform rather than something you simply are. And once you're inside it, it feels completely natural, because it's all you've ever known. Here's the psychology underneath that. Psychologist Robert Sternberg identified 3 building blocks of love: intimacy, passion, and commitment. Intimacy is closeness, being truly known. Passion is different. It's a pull, a low-grade electricity that makes someone think about you when you're not in the room. Friendship runs almost entirely on intimacy, but romantic attraction needs something else. A little uncertainty, a little tension, the quiet question of, where do I stand with this person? When someone already knows exactly where they stand with you, completely available, completely safe, no mystery, desire doesn't always know how to enter. Think of it this way. Imagine a door that's already wide open. You don't feel the need to open it. There's nothing to reach for. Wanting lives in the space between closed and open. And some people never let that space exist. And there's something else you do without realizing it. The moment tension appears, you remove it. Someone teases you, you laugh it off. Someone challenges you, you agree to keep the peace. Because tension has always felt dangerous to you. But healthy friction is often where attraction actually lives. The spark doesn't happen in the comfortable moments. It happens in the charged ones. And you've been diffusing every charge before it can build. You know that specific feeling, sitting right next to someone you want, listening to them talk about someone else, nodding, smiling, while something quietly breaks inside you. The cruelest part isn't the rejection. It's that there was never a rejection. You were never even in the running, and nobody told you. Because being the friend is safe. Being the friend means you never have to say, "I want you" out loud. You can stay close to what you want without ever fully reaching for it. Flirting is exposure. Expressing desire is a risk. And somewhere inside you, that risk feels enormous. Because you've been taught that wanting something openly is asking for too much. So you orbit, you hope, you give, you wait. And after it happens enough times, something shifts. You start expecting it. You walk into something new already bracing for the ending. That guardedness makes you more careful, more distant than ever. The pattern doesn't just repeat, it recruits you into repeating it. You've probably been angry about this, not loud angry. The quiet kind. The kind you don't say out loud because it would make you seem bitter. But that anger makes complete sense. You held them while they cried over someone who treated them worse than you ever would have. You were there, fully, consistently, without conditions. And they looked right at you and chose someone else. That doesn't make you a fool. That makes you someone who gave real love to someone who wasn't ready to receive it from you. There's a difference. And you're allowed to know that difference without apology. The people who break this pattern don't become less kind. They don't play games. They simply start being honest about what they want. Not hinting, not waiting to be chosen. They say it clearly. Early enough that both people know what this is. When you're honest about what you want, one of two things happens. Either the other person feels that pull toward you, or they don't. And you know, quickly. Before you've given years of yourself to something going nowhere, both outcomes are better than what's been happening. Right now, the pattern costs you everything and tells you nothing. Honesty costs you comfort and gives you clarity. That's not a bad trade. Your depth is not the problem. The problem is that you've been directing all of that depth outward, into other people, into their needs, while quietly starving your own. The version of you that gets chosen isn't a smaller version. It's the version that finally decides what they want is worth saying out loud. You have spent a long time being someone everyone feels safe with. Maybe it's time to make yourself feel safe too. Safe enough to want something, safe enough to say it, safe enough to stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing. If you've ever nodded and said, "I understand," when what you actually meant was, "I wanted it to be me," drop that in the comments. Just those words. You'll be surprised how many people are sitting in the exact same quiet. And if this went somewhere real for you, subscribe. Because what we do here isn't surface level. It never is.